In this video, we are going to complete the square. When we complete the square, we are rewriting a quadratic in a different form. And the form we want is this. So it says writing the form x plus a squared. It could be plus or minus. And then plus b could be plus or minus again. So x plus something squared plus or minus something. The way we do it is we take our b term. So our b is 8 at the moment. The number in front of the x is 8. I'm going to half it. So that will be 4. And I'll write it as x plus 4 squared. If I expanded x plus 4 squared, I'll do that down here. If I had x plus 4 times x plus 4, I'd get x squared plus 4x plus 4x plus 16, which is x squared plus 8x plus 16. So that's why I halved it. That's how I get x squared and 8x. I want that part. I've got x squared plus 8x in the question. I don't want this plus 16. So I'm going to take it away. So it's always this number squared. So you half the b term, and then you square it and take that away. So now I've got something that's equivalent to x squared plus 8x. If I expanded and simplified all of this now, I'd get x squared plus 8x plus 16, and then minus 16. So it's just x squared plus 8x. I've also got a plus 1 that I need to write on the end. Then I can just simplify this. So negative 16 plus 1 is negative 15. So x plus 4 squared, take away 15. So this, what I've got now, x plus 4 squared minus 15 is exactly the same as x squared plus 8x plus 1. It's exactly the same, it's just been rewritten. The second one, so half the b number, it's negative 10. Half of negative 10 is negative 5. That's going to be x minus 5 squared. Then I'm going to take away negative 5 squared. Negative 5 squared is positive 25. So take away 25 and take away the 5 as well. So if I expanded x minus 5 squared, I get x squared minus 10x plus 25. Then minus 25 minus 5 means I've got a negative 5 in total. So x minus 5 squared, take away 30. So again, that's equivalent. It's exactly the same to what I started with. 2 for you to try. So pause the video and give them a go. So the first one, I'm going to half the b. So it's negative 4. Half of negative 4 is negative 2. So I've got x minus 2 squared. That will give me the x squared minus 4x. It'll also give me a plus 4 that I don't want. So I'm going to take away this number squared. And I've got plus 3 on the end. So x minus 2 squared minus 1. And the second one, half of 6 is 3. Take away 3 squared. Take away 10 as well. So it's x plus 3 squared. Take away 19. In this next set of questions, we have odd b terms, which makes the calculations a little bit harder, but it's the same process. So I'm going to half my negative 5, which I'm just going to write as negative 5 over 2. Then I'm going to take away that squared. So 5 over 2 squared is 25 over 4, and plus 9 on the end. 9 is the same as In quarters, 9 is 36 quarters. I'm just doing this without a calculator. If you had a calculator, you could just type this straight in. But without a calculator, I'm changing 9 to 36 quarters, and negative 25 quarters plus 36 quarters will be 11 quarters. So x minus 5 over 2 squared plus 11 over 4. The second one, halving the b, gives me 7 over 2. Take away that squared, be 49 over 4, and then take away 1. 1 is 4 quarters. So I've got 49 quarters. Take away 4 quarters, which would be minus 53 quarters. So x plus 7 over 2 squared minus 53 over 4. 2 for you to try, so pause the video and give them a go. So the first one, got x plus 3 over 2 squared, so halving the b term. Take away that squared, and then I've got plus 5 on the end. 5 is 20 quarters, so minus 9 quarters plus 20 quarters will be 11 quarters. And the second one, our b is negative 1. So it's going to be x minus a half squared. Take away half squared, which is a quarter. And then take away 4 as well. So 4 is 16 quarters. That's going to be minus 17 quarters. This time we have a coefficient, a number in front of the x squared. So to complete the square this time, we're going to be writing it in the form a times x plus b squared plus c. So what we have to do is we have to factorize out the number in front of the x squared first, and then follow the same steps as before. So we can either take it out of just the first 2 terms or the whole expression. It doesn't matter which one we do. I will take it out of the whole expression, and then I'll put it back in at the end. So I'm dividing everything by 2. So I'm going to have 2, and then inside the bracket, x squared minus 4x plus 11 over 2. So I've taken 2 out, I've got rid of it, and then I'm going to complete the square, as I did before, on the bit that's left inside. So I'm going to have 2. I'm going to use a square bracket. I've got the b of negative 4 now. I'm going to half that, which will be negative 2. Then take away 2 squared, which is 4, and then plus 11 over 2 on the end. I can now times through by 2. So I've got 3 terms here. 1, 2, 3. I'm going to double them all. So I've got 2 times x minus 2 squared minus 8 plus 11. And then I can work out minus 8 plus 11, which is 3. That's going to be 2 times x minus 2 squared plus 3. And that is equivalent to what I started with. Question 2. I'm going to rewrite it with my x squared term first. So I'm going to have negative 3x squared plus 2x minus 1. This time I need to factorize out the negative 3. So I'm going to take that on the outside. So negative 3 on the outside. I'll have x squared. And I'm going to have minus 2/3 x. Negative 3 times minus 2/3 will be 2. The 3's cancel out, and a negative times a negative is positive. And this time I'm going to leave the negative 1 on the outside. It doesn't matter which way round we do that. Then I'm going to complete the square on what's left in the inside. So I'm halving minus 2/3, which will be minus 1/3. So x minus 1/3 squared. Take away 1/3 squared, which would be 1/9. And I've got the minus 1 on the outside. Times into the bracket by negative 3. So I've got negative 3 times x minus 1/3 squared. Negative 3 times negative 1/9. A negative times a negative is positive. 3/9 is the same as 1/3. So I write 1/3. I've got a minus 1 on the end. And I've got 1/3 minus 1, which would be minus 2/3. So I've got negative 3 times x minus 1/3 squared minus 2/3. So 2 for you to try. Give them a go. So the first one, I'm going to take out 5. It doesn't matter if you take it out from all 3 terms or just the first 2. I'll take it out of just the first 2. So 5 times x squared plus 2x plus 3. I'm now going to complete the square on the bit inside the bracket. So 5 half the b, which would be 1. Take away 1 squared, which is 1. Then expand the 5 into this square bracket. That's 5 times x minus 1 squared minus 5 plus 3. Negative 5 plus 3 is negative 2. And number 2. So I'm going to write the x squared term first, then the x, then the number. I'm going to take negative 4 outside. I'm just going to take it out of the first 2 terms again. So negative 4 times x squared plus 2x, and then plus 11 on the outside. Completing the square on the middle bit. I'm using a square bracket because I've got 2 sets of brackets, so I don't mix them up. Halving the b, which would be 1. Take away 1 squared, which is 1. And then expanding through again. So negative 4 times x plus 1 squared. Negative times a negative is positive. So plus 4 plus 11, which will be plus 15. And these questions say solve by completing the square. So we're going to complete the square first, and then we're going to use that to solve the equations. So the first one, I'm halving the b, which would be negative 2. Taking away that squared, which is 4. And I've still got the minus 6 on the end. So it's x minus 2 squared minus 10 equals 0. So to solve, I'm going to plus 10 to both sides. So x minus 2 squared equals 10. I then square root both sides. So x minus 2 is equal to plus or minus the square root of 10. And then plus 2 to both sides. So x is 2 plus or minus square root 10. The second one, this time we've got a 2 in front of the x squared. So I'm going to factorize that out first. I'm going to have 2, then x squared minus 3x inside the bracket. I'm going to keep the negative 3 on the outside. I'll complete the square on the middle bit. So I've got x minus 3 over 2 squared. Take away that squared, which is 9 over 4. And then I've still got the minus 3, and it's equal to 0. Expanding now, so I've got 2 times x minus 3 over 2 squared. 2 times 9 over 4 will be 9 over 2. I've still got the minus 3, and it's equal to 0. Negative 3 is negative 6 halves. I've got 9 halves, take away 6 halves, which is 15 halves. So I've got 2 times x minus 3 over 2 squared minus 15 halves equals 0. Now I can plus the 15 halves to both sides. Divide both sides by 2. Square root both sides. So square root both sides. So that's x minus 3 over 2 is equal to plus or minus the square root of 15 over 4. And then plus 3 over 2 to both sides. So x is 3 over 2 plus or minus the square root of 15 over 4. That's absolutely fine as the answer. We could do square root the top, square root the bottom for 15 over 4 and make it square root 15 over 2, which would allow us to change it to x equals 3 plus or minus square root 15 all over 2, which might be a little bit nicer, but either way, that is the answer. 2 for you to try, so pause the video and give them a go. So the first one, so we're halving the b, so that's going to go to 5. Take away 5 squared plus 1. So x plus 5 squared minus 24 is equal to 0, plus 24 to both sides. Square root, so plus or minus square root 24, and then take away 5 from both sides. So x is negative 5 plus or minus the square root of 24. And again, we can simplify the third, but we don't have to. Unless the question asks us to give it in a certain form. Question 2, I'm going to take the 4 out of the first 2 terms. What I could also do, because this is equal to 0, I've also got the option of dividing through by 4. So I could just divide every term by 4, because as long as you do the same to both sides, an equation stays equal. So you could factorize out 4, or you could just say, I'm going to divide every term by 4, and that will work as well. So I'm going to complete the square now. So halving the b, taking away that squared. I've got negative 4 quarters, take away another 5 quarters. That's going to be negative 9 quarters. And then plus the 9 quarters to both sides. Square root So plus or minus the square root of 9 over 4. Now the square root of 9 over 4 is 3 over 2. So, and then add 1 to both sides. So I've got x equals 1 plus or minus 3 over 2. So then I could just say x is either 1 plus 3 over 2. So 1 plus 1.5 is going to be 2.5. Or 1 minus 1.5 be minus 0.5. So because we've got whole answers here, this question we could have factorized.